This is Mr. Kirby on Gaza bombing by Israel.
Is war. It is combat. It is bloody. It is ugly, and it's going to be messy. And innocent civilians are going to be hurt going forward. I wish I could tell you something different. I wish that wasn't going to happen, but it is going to happen, and that doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it dismissible. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to still express concerns about that and do everything we can to help the Israelis do everything they can to minimize it. But that's unfortunately the nature of conflict.
But this is Mr. Kirby again when it comes to talking about Russian bombing of Ukraine.
It's hard to look at what he's doing in Ukraine, what his forces are doing in Ukraine, and think that any ethical, moral individual could justify that. It's difficult to look at the It's difficult to look at some of the images and imagine that any well-thinking, serious, mature leader would do that. So I can't talk to his psychology, but I think we can all speak to his depravity.
Every single life is precious, whether that be of an Israeli child or that be of a child in Gaza, or whether that be a child in Ukraine. Every life is precious. But why do we see double standards at the White House? John F. Kirby, he is the coordinator of strategic communication of National Security Council at the White House. Why do we see double standard in his voice? Almost 3,000 children died within the last few weeks in Gaza after Israeli bombing. And almost 1,700 children died in Ukraine since Russia invaded it in February 2022. But why do we see Mr. Kirby almost in tears when it comes to children of Ukraine? But why don't we hear the same sort of sadness in his tone when it comes to children in Gaza? When we know almost half of the population in Gaza are children and they are being starved to death, let alone being bombed to death. This is hypocrisy.